The next major point of tension is obedience. In the Christian faith, once we are saved out of the love and grace of Jesus, it pushes us and helps us to want and to obey and follow him. Jesus said, if you love me, obey my commandments. It's a relationship out of love that leads to obedient action. In the Catholic Church, though, they have the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is a summary or exposition of doctrine and serves as a learning introduction to the sacraments traditionally used in Catholicism. Basically, a real long text that outlines do's, don'ts of practices. There are many people who are Catholic, which is an upbringing, and then there are practicing Catholics. And in paragraph 2041 of the CCC, you'll find minimum requirements of practicing Catholics. For example, observe the 10 Commandments, adhere to church teaching and policies, follow the 5 precepts of said paragraph 2041, which is to attend Mass, to confess once a year, Holy Communion once a year around Easter, which Catholics believe is the actual blood and body of Jesus, a whole nother 3MU, fasting on Fridays during Lent, give money only up towards your ability, etc., etc., etc. This is important for me to say. All of this isn't really much. If you're a Christian, lots of these practices or disciplines are actually similar to our faith as well. But it does tend to seem more like work-based religious obligation rather than obedience-driven passion based out of a relationship. Again, communion, tithing, fasting are all practices from the Christian faith as well. But how it's observed and the state or motivation of your heart when you do anything is immensely important to Jesus. Please go and read all of chapter 6 in the Gospel of Matthew to see what Jesus says about all of it. For many, checking all the boxes becomes a way of earning salvation, which is extremely dangerous, and is said in Ephesians 2, for it is by grace that you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is a gift of God, but not by works, so that nobody can boast. We can write all the ways and all the laws to be a Christian, but ultimately we have to follow what the Bible says. The timeline for our understanding is this, that God gave us the 10 Commandments, which, by the way, was an act of grace and not an act of law or civility. We already messed up this optimal, beautiful space in the Garden of Eden. So what do we do with the 10? We blew that up to 613 laws, the Mosaic Law, which were do's and don'ts of Christian practices. Does that sound familiar? David brought it down to 15, Isaiah 11, and the prophet Micah said, I want you to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before you, oh God. Then Jesus finally gets on the scene, and you would assume he says it all hangs on this, and you would assume that it would only be one major thing, one major piece to bring it all together. But Jesus does what Jesus always does. He gives us 2. He says, love the Lord your God and love others. From these 2 points, we begin to work at all the other disciplines. Remember, it starts with 2 and works its way forward. It shouldn't start with 600 and work its way down. Are there differences in the Christian and Catholic practices? Yes, but ultimately the goal of any single person who calls themselves a Christian, no matter how they practice, is important to start with these 2 things of what Jesus said. I hope this breathes life into some of the differences and similarities of both Catholic and Christian believers, and we got it under 3 minutes!